What's up, everybody? It's me, Robbie Bobby, from the Robbie Bobby podcast, and thank you all for joining me on this lovely day that it is, or it might be evening by now. I'm not sure. I'm in here in the command center at the studio of WJRC, where I love it. Yes, I do. And big thanks to all of you out there again for all the love and the thoughts and the prayers for the beautiful Jen, my beautiful wife, and executive producer of the Robbie Bobby podcast. So yeah, all right. Thank you. And she thanks you as well. If it wasn't for her, she does all the stuff behind the scenes that you don't see, and some of the things that you do see. Again, thank you for all of the love and support. And what we're going to do for the next couple of podcasts, I guess it's going to be like a part series, because a lot of this stuff I can get into and just for days and days and go on and on. But we're not going to bore you with that type of stuff because we're going to have a good time like we always do while I relay and give you information that you need to know. And, I think and feel that you should know. And if you don't, well, pay attention. And again, some of y'all don't want to hear, but you damn sure, no. What's my catchphrase? You may not want to listen, but you damn sure need to hear it. Yeah, that's what it is. So I can't remember my own phrase or whatever. So, anyway, what we're going to do, we're going to delve into just exactly where, who, and what Antifa is. And from here on out, they will be known as Anquifa. You get it. And I've always called them that. So, who is paying for these riots and the protests? And I say protests because that's what they're protesting, quote unquote, imaginary things. Where are these protesters coming from? Who and how are these training these groups of people? We've seen recently of the video on some college campuses where they're actually being trained on how to riot and fight the police. So right here now on our own soil, we have groups of people, regardless, or never mind all the millions of illegals from 150 different countries that are here. We have no clue who, or where they're at. So that we have our own citizens now being taught to fight, our country. And, the handlers in Washington, the administration this is what they want. So again, I heard this earlier today. It's not me, but it was a great point. When they talk about the economy's doing well and this is doing great and everything's going great. Well, to them it is, because that's what they want. They want this chaos and these riots. They're behind it 100%, and we're going to touch on that as well. Now, we're going to get into that, like I said, and just we're going to expose who Anquifa and the other American domestic terrorist groups are, from way back to the Weather Underground, where Obama got his start in the living room of Bill Ayers and Bernadette Dorn. Again, American domestic terrorist groups, that's who shaped and formed Obama and gave him his socialist Marxist ideas and, paid for his way. He's down for the struggle, as Michelle Obama would say. He's not down for the struggle. Well, I digress. Now, again, we're going to get into that and other terrorist groups as they attempt to overthrow not only our government, but our way of life as Americans. And it's not just evil Whitey that they want to go after, but as we see with the attacks on our Jewish neighbors on college campuses across America by the left-wing radical Islamic terrorists and their supporters, which are mainly rich white kids that have no clue. Now, even black Americans who refuse to toe the Democrat Party line and be a victim of this imaginary racism, or anyone they deem as a threat, which is like every red-blooded, freedom-loving American is their enemy. It's the Democrat Party funding them through Iran and Hamas, all the way to the professors that oversee the indoctrination camps. Now, I've done a lot of research on this with the help from Andy No, who was attacked by Anquifa in Portland as a journalist back in 2019. And, because freedom of speech and the freedom of press is fascist or something. I don't, again, their ideology is so ass backwards. And yeah, they scream they fight against fascism and white supremacy while being fascist and racist. So, again, when we touch on this and where exactly Antifa, I will say it once, where they actually originated way back when, we're going to get into that as well as we go through this few-part series. Now, if you don't know who Andy Ngo is, I strongly suggest you pick up his book, Unmasked, Inside Antifa's Radical Plan to Destroy America. Now, I'm going to read some excerpts out of Andy's book, and as always, I want you, my listeners out there, y'all that are hearing me right now, to look up everything I say. Do not just take my word for it. I am not mainstream liberal media where I will just say whatever lie, and pass it on from the state-run media and know that my listeners will just act accordingly and spread the disinformation willingly. As I call them, the willfully stupid. Now, as we see with like CNN, all the talk shows, these talking heads on TV, The View, those idiots, their listeners they take the orders and they run off and they don't take the time. And if they just took the time to do a little research, which they refuse to do, while screaming at us or I to do your research, they would know that they are being conned, and that's why the liberal media is one of the enemies of the people. That's right, I will say it again. The liberal media is one of the enemies of the people. So, let's take a look at where this anti-American... nope, you know what? I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to hear from one of our sponsors, Physical Therapy, who has done a great job on this guy's shoulder. That's right, your host right here. So, on that note, we're going to be right back.
Start living life on your terms. Build your dreams. Reach your goals. Change your future. Heal your community. With over 500 open locations, Physical Therapy and Balance Centers is the #1 physical therapy franchise and a leader in vestibular and balance therapy. Join the healthcare revolution. To learn more about franchise opportunities, visit physicalfranchise.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is the Robbie Bobby Podcast, heard on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and some other outlets. I'm your host, Robbie Bobby, but we already know that. That's right. Let's take a look at where this anti-American, anti-Israeli, racist mindset has come from. The bigger idea of all this has been around since the late 20s and 30s. Yes, I said that correctly, 20s and the 30s. And what does that time in history remind us? Well, for those of us who were taught or learned history the way it actually happened, not this CRT 1619 BS the liberals are trying to force and indoctrinate kids with today. But I will say this, though. From what we have seen on these campuses and the riots from 2019, to today in Portland, Seattle, Baltimore, I can't breathe. Hands up, don't shoot, which all turned out to be a lie. Now, there's stories that can go either way, and there's facts that weren't seen and overlooked. And anyone that, with those stories of Michael Brown is this horrible thing and all this, and we can discuss that later. But, we see this younger generation with no respect for themselves or anyone else, whether it's law enforcement or military or veterans or older folks or anyone that disagrees with the liberal Marxist ideology. Now, they've been brainwashed thinking violence is the only way to achieve what they believe has been done wrong to them, whatever it might be. Now, we all know it's imaginary, like racism, genocide, millionaires and billionaires that don't pay their fair share. Whitey is a problem in the black community. Well, white liberals in black communities are a problem. Like Obama's white half was a problem for Chicago. And that continues today. Although, I will say the residents of Chicago have recently started to realize that with the influx of the illegal immigrants that these Democrats that have ran Chicago for decades and decades are taking away from the residents of Chicago, giving it all to the illegals, They're realizing that the impact of voting Democrat, what that impact has done to their communities and to their schools. We see the children, being allowed to graduate and are literally illiterate. They can't add 2 plus 2. If they do, it's racist somehow. And for some reason, they all think they have a law degree. I know my rights. I know the law. Blah, 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 blah. We hear this from this younger generation. And I don't even know what to call it. It's pathetic. I covered this story as far as the schools graduating students who can't read in a prior vidcast. Check it out. It's pretty informative. Got to sound by some people and just Now, the riots that we are seeing from the left on campuses, they're all organized and coordinated by rich, mostly white, liberal Marxists like George Soros, USCPR, which stands for the U.S. Campaign for Palestinian Rights. If they wouldn't vote terrorist groups like Hamas into power, they probably have a little bit better of a life. Susan Pritzker is another, and other Soros-funded groups called Education for Just Peace in the Middle East against Stop Being Terrorists. God, that's the idiocy. Anyway, this one makes no sense to me. Jewish Voice for Peace, as they support Hamas, who wants to kill Jews. Again, liberalism is a mental disorder. And there's no one, if not now. Again, the Rockefeller brothers and others, we know. Now, Hamas, Iran, Hezbollah, and other terrorist organizations that we all actually know of, they're also funding these groups here in America. They help fund domestic terrorist groups like Anquifa, BLM, and other wannabe Marxist groups. And you may be thinking, I thought Iran had sanctions and wasn't allowed to sell their oil for profit. And the money was frozen and was only used for humanitarian needs. Surely you jest. Well, the Biden handlers, along with DHS head Alejandro Mayorkas, Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who I might add, again, look it up, has direct ties to Soros. Blinken's family and Soros' family, they go way back in business. So, again, look it up. But these and others on the left, including the DNC, are directly involved with funding Iran. We saw billions that Biden's handlers gave to him. We saw the billions that Obama sent them on plane loads of cash on pallets. How? So, yes, the people currently in control of our government, including the deep state, and those who control the two-tier justice system, as we see with President Trump's BS trials going on up in New York and all that crap, who control that system, they're helping fund the riots and the terrorist activities we are seeing all the way across America. And again, it's just ridiculous. But we're not going to stop. We're going to expose and keep going. So stay tuned for part 2 of this ongoing investigation as we continue to see the far-left terrorist groups funded by rich white liberals and other terrorist groups like Hamas, and where I have found direct evidence of their support of the college campus riots 2024 on tour. That's right, coming to a college campus near you. Also, stay tuned for another cover of a song that I've done for the beautiful Jen, because he is awesome and deserves songs. Now, I do have one of my originals coming out soon, and that's a surprise for her, but she usually knows the songs that I'm going to cover because, well, she's here in the command center and I usually hear them, but the other one, not so much. But again, thank you all for joining me for this part 1 roundup and promo for our ongoing investigation into Anquifa. And everyone laughed because, God. On that note, love you guys. Thanks again as always. I'm Robbie Bobby. We'll see you on part 2. See you.